Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brainstorm Horror. My name is Jewel, and today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite films. I love all the Friday the 13th films. You know, it's such a great franchise. Jason is probably my favorite anti-hero, bad guy in all the horror movies out there. I kind of grew up watching Friday the 13th. I think the first one I saw was part two. But today I wanted to talk about the 2009 remake and just give my thoughts on it. I just finished watching it. And yeah, so before we start, cheers, got some root beer. And yeah, I wanted to get through this quickly. The story for this film is kind of based off of part two and part four, where there's in part four there's a guy named Rob Dyer, and he's actually looking for his sister Sandra, who was a counselor in part two, and she ends up dying, of course, in the shish kebab scene through the bed and everything. But anyways, I want to get back on topic. The 2009 remake is about a guy named Clay Miller, and he's looking for his sister Whitney. And in the beginning of the film, we see Whitney and a few of her friends go camping. Two of the guys are looking for a crop of weed to cut down, and they want to sell the weed. It turns bad when Jason shows up, and I'm guessing this weed that was growing out at Crystal Lake. Jason was growing his weeds, so basically he's protecting his land, protecting his crops, and he ends up killing one of the guys with a machete to the ear pretty early on. There's Richie, who he steps in a bear trap. There's also this, of course, homage to the sleeping bag kill from part 7, where he ties a girl up in a sleeping bag and puts her over top of a roasting fire. Whitney goes into Jason's old house, his mother's house, and her boyfriend Mike gets stabbed with a machete through the floor, and then Jason rips open the doorway and pulls him down. Brutal scene, really brutal scene. The kills in this movie are intense. After we see the first group of kids getting slaughtered, then Clay comes to Crystal Lake to try and find Whitney, and he runs into a group of friends that are vacationing at Crystal Lake, and Jason has more of a right picking to pick off a few, not counselors in this one, but just party goers. And yeah, so I was really I really thought this film did a good job. It was a great remake, one of the better remakes. You know, like A Nightmare on Elm Street didn't really have Robert Englund and all that, but in this one we have Derek Mears, who plays Jason, and we get to see Sackhead Jason in the beginning, and then he dons his hockey mask after he kills a redneck. I guess he was also stealing the kerosene from this one farmhouse, and he ends up slitting the redneck's throat. The redneck is really funny, very perverted though, and he's smoking weed. And so yeah, Jason finds his hockey mask in that shed, or in that barn, I should say. Well, I don't know if it's the barn, but it's Mr. Garrett's property, this old guy's property, and the redneck works for him. And Jason ends up finding the mask after he kills the redneck, and then he dons the hockey mask, which we all know and love today. So yeah, and then Clay tries to help out the other group of kids. Two of them get slain when they're using a boat on the lake. We see Jason using traps in this movie, but also using a bow and arrow. He headshots the guy driving the boat, and then the boat runs into the girl that's in the water, smashing her head. And And yeah, so he eventually finds her and kills her, and we see, you know, the luscious titties that she has and all that for one final reveal before he kills her. But yeah, I thought Derek Mears did an amazing job as Jason. Also, the music in this one, really creepy. Not Harry Manfredini. I think it was Jablonsky or Steve Jablonsky or something like that. Anyways, he did a great job with the soundtrack. There's a lot of creepy, vibey music, even in the beginning credits. We also see in this film, I don't know if it's Alice, but we see a counselor kill Jason's mother in the beginning of the film in 1980. She beheads her with a machete, cuts her head off, and then we see Jason is watching this, and he goes and he picks up the machete, picks up his mother's head, puts it in his bathroom, in his house. There's like a hole, and then we see like what would you call it? A shrine basically to his mother's head with candles all lit around it when he kills Mike. But anyways, there's the kids in this one. Like there's the group of campers with Whitney, and then we see the other group that Clay's dealing with. But Clay isn't really part of their group. He just ends up being there with them. And there's an asshole named Trent in this movie that him and Clay kind of go back and forth, lashing out at one another, almost starting to fight one another. And Trent gets one of the most brutal kills in this film. They end up running away from the house, and Trent gets shish kebabbed on the back of a truck. There's like a huge stake, like metal spike sticking out, and Jason slams him on top of it, and then the guy driving the truck was freaked out, so he drives off, and Trent's like going like all fucked up. Amazing kill scene. But also I thought there's a guy named Chewie, who's played by Aaron Yu, and then there's also I'm trying to think of his name. There's an African guy. I'm trying to think what his name is. I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, Chewie gets killed while he he breaks Trent's dad's chair, and then he goes out to I'm brain farting here, sorry. He goes out to the shed to get tools so he can fix Trent's dad's chair that he broke, and Jason ends up killing him with a screwdriver to the neck, and it's a really brutal scene because it goes right through his neck into his mouth, and there's blood gushing everywhere. Trent was at first with Danielle Panabaker's character, and they were kind of dating in the beginning, and then but she ends up falling for Clay and goes out with Clay, helping him to find Whitney, because Clay in this movie, he's looking for his sister, but he's also handing out flyers that says missing and has a picture of Whitney on it. And yeah, so Trent ends up with one of the other girls, and they start having sex. The girl in this scene has a very nice pair, I'm not gonna lie, but anyways, yeah, so all the kids get picked off one by one. Clay ends up finding Whitney in this like mine shaft that Jason has built, or it's been there for a while. It's like tunnels that connect underground all throughout Crystal Lake. He has like ropes that are like attached to bells in his lair, so he can hear people if they trip, like the trip wire He'll know where they are and all this. So Jason's really smart in this movie. He does a fantastic job as the killer in this film. Like I said, he's using traps, he's using bow and arrow, but of course he's using his machete a lot in this film also. So yeah, I thought the ending could have been a little bit better. I think it's okay though. There's a whole jump scene at the end with Jason, kind of homaging back to part one, Friday the 13th part one, when he jumps out of the lake and scares somebody. I really thought, I don't know, I think the ending was good enough. It was, they end up tying Jason up in a chain and in the barn, and then he gets pulled into like a wood chipper. And yeah, so I don't know, the ending's all right. I think it was okay. Of course there's a jump scare at the end, but yeah, that's really all I have to say about Friday the 13th, the remake from 2009. This was directed by Marcus Nispel. I thought the director did a great job in this film. And yeah, nothing else to say. Go watch it if you can. It's one of the better slasher movies, one of the better Friday the 13th. This is up there with one of my favorites, you know, part 4. I think part 4 is probably, the final chapter is probably my favorite. Just because Jason's so brutal in that one. But yeah, so go watch this if you can. The gore is fantastic. The titties are fantastic. You won't be, you won't be, what am I trying to say here? You won't be disappointed. Fuck me with all these brain farts I'm having. But cheers. Thank you for watching Brainstorm Horror, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully I keep doing this. So thank you for watching, and cheers. See ya. Hey guys, I forgot one other thing. I wanted to bring it up. I'm gonna add it to this video. I keep forgetting scenes and shit when I'm reviewing. There's so much to go through, but I just wanted to talk about a really great scene in this film. Jason is so agile, so cunning. He's fast, he can run, he's a powerful force, and so I want to talk about, in one scene, he ends up chasing one of the guys back to the house, and he ends up throwing a hatchet, maybe like, I don't know how far, but it goes spinning and spinning in the air, and it hits the guy in the back, and then he's like using like the victim as like bait for the other people who are still inside the house. And Jason's just so cunning in this film. I also wanted to talk about the scene with the police officer showing up at the house. Jason jumps down off the roof of the building when the cops show up, when the cop shows up at the house, and he sticks like I don't know what, it's like, I don't know if it's like a fire poker or something, and he jams it right through the cop's eye, and then it goes through the door where Clay is and the other Danielle Panabaker's character is, and he just brutally kills the police officer in this film. So crazy. Just wanted to add that to this review. Go and watch this if you love Jason, if you love horror movies. This is one of the better Friday the 13th, definitely. Also, the cinematography is stellar. Yeah, and like I said, the music, the score in this is just crazy creepiness all around. So thank you for watching Brainstorm Horror, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.